time for the Michael Huddleston Show on HUDdradio.com.
I appreciate your input.
I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man.
That is President John F. Kennedy in his inaugural speech way back when. And when you listen to that, there's something that comes to mind. The first thing is, where did Democrats go wrong? Because remember, John F. Kennedy was a Democrat, and he's talking about all this stuff about ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And then goes on to talk about, my fellow citizens of the world, don't ask what America can do for you, but ask what together we can do for humanity. And then I look into today, where Mitt Romney has won the nomination for presidency in Tampa, Florida, which, by the way, was not destroyed by a hurricane. So don't let the the Democrats tell you that Tampa Bay is a disaster and that the city of Tampa, Florida itself is nothing but carnage. That's what they're going to try to paint New Orleans as here in the next couple of days when Hurricane Isaac comes through, which I think is extremely funny. Because if you live in a Gulf Coast state, if you live in Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Texas, Louisiana, any of those states, realistically, a tropical storm like Isaac, which is okay, it's it's Category 1 hurricane, got winds at 70 miles an hour, which is barely minimal. This is nothing but a bad thunderstorm. I thought it was funny that John Cornyn came out on one of the talk shows today when asked about his thoughts about the Republican National Convention going on during a time of national crisis. His response was that he's seen storms of the same magnitude roll through Dallas-Fort Worth on an April or May day, which I thought was hilarious. Because growing up in Dallas-Fort Worth, we get these thunderstorms sometimes where the winds will go up to 70 miles an hour. It'll just be torrential rains, torrential downpours, and it's like a hurricane's coming through. Now, granted, a hurricane lasts a lot longer than a Dallas thunderstorm does, but you get the picture. This Category 1 hurricane is nothing to worry about. It is a rainmaker. But the Democrats, on the anniversary of Katrina, are going to make you think that this is going to be the most catastrophic thing next to Katrina, and therefore we ought to elect President Barack Obama, because last time we had a hurricane come through, it killed a bunch of people, and it was all President Bush's fault. And, oh, by the way, he was a Republican. Republicans don't care. They want death and destruction so that they can take over the world. But if you elect President Barack Obama, he's going to take care of you. We'll get to more about that in just a second. But as I was saying, where did Democrats go wrong with Kennedy? They went south after he left office. But anyways, so big news today is that, again, like we just said, Mitt Romney won the nomination for President of the United States on the Republican ticket. His running mate is Paul Ryan, if you haven't heard. You've been living under a rock. The other thing is that Hurricane Isaac is on its way to New Orleans. It is a dead set on hitting New Orleans, and it would have to, of course, because the story wouldn't be complete if it didn't hit New Orleans. The Harris County judge came out today and said that refugees are not welcome in Houston, which I thought was kind of funny, because if you think back to Katrina, all these victims, all these refugees came over to the Astrodome, and that place was disgusting. That place was trashed. The refugees didn't leave. There was gang violence, there was crime, there was drugs, there was just horrible stuff happening all over the city, and it hasn't really stopped since then, because those vulnerables, as my friend Michael Berry likes to say, have not left Houston, and the city of Houston is not willing to go back and try that again. So that was interesting. That was a fun little argument that people got into today. Of course, we all know the liberals were on the side of, we need to help everybody that's in need, and we need to open the Astrodome for all the people evacuating New Orleans to come and stay in, and they can stay there as long as they want, just like they did in Katrina, because we're great humanitarians. And if we don't open the Astrodome, which is failed every possible health code in the book, if we don't open the Astrodome up to these people, we're going to look bad, and we can't look bad. We have to take care of everybody. You don't have to do that, and we're not going to do that. And I applaud the Harris County judge for sticking to that and not letting the refugees come here, because there's no need for them to come here. If you think back to 2005 when Katrina came through, 2 weeks after that, Hurricane Rita came through and did lots of damage to the Galveston and Houston area. So, as you can see, why would you evacuate people from one hurricane zone to another hurricane zone? They need to be evacuated inland. And that was pretty much the point of this judge from Harris County. And it's a valid point. Ariana Huffington appeared on Real Time with Bill Maher recently, where the two discussed Romney's choice of Paul Ryan as his running mate and Huffington's new media initiatives. So when Ariana Huffington is on with Bill Maher, the two names together mean that it's going to be a great piece of audio gold, and we're going to play that for you. But it wasn't long before Bill Maher, one of Barack Obama's top donors, by the way, don't forget that, compared Paul Ryan to Dennis Kucinich, saying the pick of Ryan was like, in a way, if Obama had picked Dennis Kucinich. I mean, how far to the extreme he really is the party. That is not a very well-written sentence, but how could the Republicans get away with picking their Kucinich, but if the Democrats tried it, all hell would break loose? Apparently, Bill Maher considers Barack Obama and Joe Biden to be moderates, which is a surprise to me, because they are about as far left as it gets, and you can't hide it, and you just look at the policies that have been written, and it's apparent to see. But you got to remember, where does Bill Maher usually spiel his crap? On MSNBC. And MSNBC is really all MSNBC is good for these days is being the mouth of the White House. It's funny because the president has not really campaigned that much. There's not really been that much clips of him campaigning for his presidency. They pretty much just let MSNBC do the talking for them. And it's funny because half the stuff MSNBC talks about is race. And then when they say something that's just totally out of bounds, then that's when you hear the president and his campaign team come out to defend themselves. So Ariana Huffington seemingly had a different opinion of this. According to the media mogul Paul Ryan, more like Hollywood star actor George Clooney, she says. He's like a bit of a heartthrob, she explains by adding. He also looks good without a shirt. Ariana Huffington is the biggest ball of air I've ever seen. She has no substance to anything that she says. She continued adding, there's a bit of criticism for the heartthrob. When he's next to Romney, he's kind of a twinkle in his eye. But here's the problem. It's a little bit. You know, how you fall in love with a woman because he's feisty, independent, has her own views. And then you get married, and immediately you want to run and turn into a doormat. And that's what's happened to Paul Ryan. Paul Ryan has become a doormat. Now you ask yourself, why would this even air? Well, I'm going to tell you right now that this was a planned interview, and what Ariana Huffington had said was planned to a degree. To one point or another, it was planned. Here's why. Because MSNBC is, like we just established, the mouth for the presidential campaign team. They are the mouth for the White House as well. Democrats have no ammunition in their gun, in their campaign gun. They have no ammunition. The only ammunition they have is race. So when you use the race card enough time, people just kind of tune out, and they start kind of just, I really don't care. And that's kind of what you're starting to see is you've beaten people to death with the race card, and so now people just kind of tuned out to you. You may not have lost their vote, but they're really tuned out to you, which leaves Democrats open to the Republican Party and the conservatives coming in and swaying them to their side. So what's the next logical explanation? What's the next logical move if you're trying to build up Barack Obama? Well, you can't talk about his record because it's terrible. You can't talk about the fact that he's going to turn the economy around, because he's already promised that. Jobs, can't talk about jobs. Let's see, no economy, no jobs. Education, no, education's gotten worse in this country. We've slipped. I know what we'll do. We'll put a total airhead on and let her start talking, and then we will paint her as the typical Republican conservative that supports Romney. That's what it'll do. Because there's plenty of people who don't pay attention to what's going on in this world, and they'll say, oh, well, if Ariana Huffington supports the Republican Party, well, I don't want to do that because she's just totally stupid. It's more hip and it's more cool to vote for Obama because, well, he went on The View, and he was on Entertainment Tonight, and he goes around and he wears hats and stuff that I see the rappers wear. And that's what you have to be concerned about. And that's what you have to watch for. And I guarantee you, if you just watch MSNBC or you watch any of the ABC News channel, what you're going to see the next couple of weeks is you're going to see the Democrats have nothing left in the ammo case. No more shotgun shells, no more 40 cal or ammunition. They are out of ammunition. Everything they're going to do from here on out till Election Day is going to be about painting the conservative supporters in a bad way as idiots, hillbillies from West Virginia. Remember, people here in Texas, we still ride horses. We don't own cars, and we're mostly conservative, and so we're not progressives. You're going to see everybody in Arizona is killing all the Mexicans that are coming across because we don't like Mexicans, and you're going to see the media, the liberal media, the mouth of the liberal movement, not have anything to do with Barack Obama's promises for the next 4 years or his record. You're going to see them start painting supporters of Romney in a negative way that's not true, that's stereotypical, because they have nothing else to argue. They've argued themselves into a hole. And so that's what you need to watch for. So, we're running out of time. I'm always late. Lately, I have been late, like every show for the last 4 or 5 shows. So I'm going to try to not be as late as I have been. And sorry, Jay, for running over again. But stay tuned for the next couple of days. We're going to have another update on what's going on at the convention and more observations from the liberal media, which is just it's my fun that I get for the week. It's just about as funny for me to watch the liberal media as it is to watch the Jeff Foxworthy show, because it's just funny. So stay tuned. We will hit back at you the end of the week, or the beginning of next week. We're going to hit back at you to review what happened over the weekend. Again, if you do have loved ones in the Louisiana area who are evacuating, we'll be praying for them. I know it's going to be crazy traffic trying to get out of New Orleans or out of Louisiana into Texas. But they will be all right. It's just a Category 1 hurricane. So until next time, we'll catch you later.